I need you guys to help me settle a debate that I'm having with my cousin here in Kenya. I'm visiting here, but I grew up mostly in the United States, and my cousin and I are having this discussion about the Indian Kenyan community in Kenya. The Indians have been here for over 100 years. They came here to build the railroads in the 1850s, and they've stayed. They consider themselves Kenyan. However, they live very secluded lives compared to Black Kenyans. They build apartment complex and housing units and rent only to other Indians and do not rent to the Black population. And my cousin does not think that is racism. Of course, I think that is just straight 100% racism. She thinks that because they buy the land for their community with their own Indian money and they build for their community, rent only to their community, they're just taking advantage of what the Kenyan government allows them, which of course is a problem because the Kenyan government does allow this. However, whichever way you spin it, it's racism, even if the Black Kenyans choose to do the same thing to the Indian Kenyans, as she says. I think it's racism whichever way you look at it. She thinks racism really only applies when an Indian is hiring a Black Kenyan for a job, and for the same qualifications, they are paying them a lesser salary than the Indians. So that's racism to her. But the other way is just taking advantage of, I guess, essentially a loophole. Tell me what you guys think, because I think it's all wrong.
So, Martin Luther Jr. once said, "You cannot legislate the heart." However, there's something I want to say today. You can restrict what the heart can do. You cannot force someone to love you, but you can prevent them from doing harm to you. Yes, the reason why I'm saying, or I am rather quoting whatever Martin Luther Jr. said, is because of the problems some Africans are having with some Indians. Not far, not anywhere, in my own country, Kenya. Let's continue watching this video, and then by the end of the video, I will give you my critical analysis. Let's dive in.
Indians in Africa, and especially in Kenya, we all know your ancestors were brought into these lands to come and build the railway line by the British. After the British left, you guys stayed to be part of us, which was only fair because you guys deserve to be here. But please, help me beg the older generation of Indians in Kenya to stop being racist towards the Kenyan people, towards the Black. Pay Black people the same wages you pay your own kind for the same services offered. A lot of Kenyans are suffering in EPZ, industrial area, and all the industries that are Indian owned because they're being treated very brutally. There's a lot of racism.
We're Kenyan Indian. Of course, we live in either South Sea, Parklands, or Ngara. We're Kenyan Indian. Of course, daddy's money reigns supreme, always. We're Kenyan Indian. Of course, we're going to explain what makes us Kenyan, even though we are literally the 43rd tribe of the country. We're Kenyan Indian. Of course, we're going to have a problem with someone of our ethnicity marrying outside the culture. We're Kenyan Indian. We hate being called Muhindi, but love being called Asian. We're Kenyan Indian. Of course, we own supermarkets or hardwares. We're Kenyan Indian. Of course, we're going to mix up all the 3 languages and pretend we made a sentence that made sense. We're Kenyan Indian. Of course, we live with our parents.
Of time in your life when you thought that I need to bleach my skin or whiten my skin?
Yeah, I thought many times.
No, Indians were not supposed to be fairer. India receives more than 250 sunny days. So vitamin D is directly absorbed by skin, hence more melanin content, hence the darker skin.
There was time when I was a teenage girl, I could see people girls who were fairer than me, you know, they were treated in a different way. You could see the school teachers or everyone is like, oh, she's so cute, she's so pretty. So that time we feel, okay, I want to be that person.
I've been bullied for my skin tone, and that too by my teachers. Yeah, one of my teachers bullied me when I was in class 3rd or 4th. I was just a child. I don't know that I have a dark tone and all.
My friends who are a little darker than me, they sometimes feel that, still that I should put tomato on my skin and this on my skin to become fair. So their self-confidence has been
Types of Indian girls in Nairobi, Part 1. They can't sit with us. Seen usually walking in flocks. Do not interact with anyone that is not their skin color. Think they're Muzungu by going to Karen, but they're not really Muzungu. Insist you only call them by their short name. Okay, pretty.
Why are there so many Indians in East Africa? And by East Africa, I'm referring specifically to Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Indians have been in East Africa for many years, and many Indians who settled in East Africa have offspring of over 5 generations with no links to India as a country. Indian migration to East Africa was at its highest during British colonial rule. Many were taken as indentured servants by the British in the early 19th and 20th centuries. As many as 30,000 Indians were said to have arrived in the 1890s to help build the Kenya-Uganda railway. Many Punjabi engineers and labourers had the skills that the British required due to the experience of building railways back in India. Today in East Africa, many descendants of Indian migrants own successful businesses. Most Indians are also integrated into Kenyan, Ugandan and Tanzanian society. The majority of Indians in East Africa are Gujarati, but you do also have Sindhis and Punjabis. And most of them speak Swahili. For more content like this, make sure to follow us.
Okay, so I'm Kenyan, right? Like I was born in Kenya, raised in Kenya, 3rd generation Kenyan born, but I'm ethnically Indian. And I've talked about this a few times, but it's like this constant identity crisis of not really belonging anywhere. Like when I go to India to visit, I'm not really Indian. And when I'm in Kenya, people just question my Kenyanness. But what I realized is, who gave anyone else the authority to tell me what nationality I am, or where I should call home, or where I should say I'm from? Because surely that should be up to me, right? And so, I don't know, but I'm just like, I know a lot of 3rd generation people feel like that. Like, you belong wherever you choose to belong, and you are from wherever you choose to be from. It shouldn't matter what anyone else thinks.
See, I am here. This is what I'm talking about. Do you see any diversity, any color? None.
If you're a black Indian, stop whatever you're doing. This video is for you. Now, we know that India is the most racist country on earth. If you just read on Google the most racist country, it's going to be India and Philippines. In fact, if you look around India, they sell all types of skin bleaching creams. Because in India, the more lighter your skin looks, the more privileges you can get in Bollywood, in movies, in, I don't know, cricket, whatever it is. And this has left out all black Indians because their story has not been heard. They're not in Bollywood, they're not in whatever, you can name it. And the outside world doesn't know that there is a lot of racism towards black Indians or the dark-skinned Indians. Black-skinned Indians, listen to this. In USA, when black people were being discriminated and segregated by the whites, they complained until when they gave up. So what they did is they started black franchise. That is black football teams, black churches, black schools, black TV stations, black radio stations, all black everything. And as I speak right now, the black culture is the most embraced culture around the world. Look at Kevin Durant, look at Kevin Hart, look at Beyonce, Jay-Z, Rihanna, I don't know, Debbie James, I don't know all these, these celebrities all over they're embraced and loved all over the world. Why? Because they got a chance to tell their own story. So you black Indians or the dark-skinned Indians, this is exactly what you have to do. Start your own franchise. Your whatever, schools, I don't know, cricket. India is good in cricket. Start your own TV stations. Go in Bollywood and tell your own story in your own way. The world will embrace you. The world will accept you. Remember, racists are privileged. When people are privileged, they stop learning. They don't know what's happening because they only think about the privileges. Now, you who is a victim, you learn and you make yourself better. But the so-called racist and, privileged people, they don't learn because they already have privilege. They don't know what's happening. A few years later, they start complaining. You see that in US right now as I speak. They complain about all kinds of black people, whatever, black people this, black people that. So make sure you tell your story in movies, in Bollywood, I don't know, I don't care what. And a few years later, the world is going to know that they're black Indians in India and they are loved.
Some of the most prominent Sikhs in Kenya. Number 1 has to be Makhan Singh, who is known for being the father of trade unions in Kenya. He fought for the rights of the workforce and is credited for the foundation that trade unions today work on. Number 2 has to be Joginder Singh, a name you've probably heard. He is a 3-time winner of the Safari Rally and is also known as the Flying Sikh. Number 3 is someone I don't have a photo of. His name was Kala Singh. Kala Singh first came to Kenya in the 1890s. Certain writings credit him to be charismatic, and in one interaction when he was talking to a Kenyan person, something along the way was lost in translation, and when he was explaining that his name is Kala Singh, the Kenyan man thought he was referring to his tribe, and some people still refer to Sikhs as Kala Singhas. It's not a derogatory term, it's actually quite endearing. Number 4 is Jaswinder Bedi, who is an industrialist in the textile industry, and his business mainly consists of exporting textiles, as far as I know. Jaswinder Bedi is currently on the list of the richest Kenyans.
So, good morning, Africans. I hope where you are watching this video from, you are doing much fine and you're okay. Again, the Indians have done it. Yes. The Indians have done it. I love my Indian brothers so much, because the Most High requires us to love all his creation as equals, particularly the humans, the human creations. Yes, we don't have black or white. In the Lord, he has children, he has humans, but some humans think that more special. They think that they are more equal than other humans. Yes, and in particularly this country of Kenya, we have different races, and it's true. The predominant people, the indigenous people, the dominant people here are the black people. And in Kenya we have like 47 tribes. Yes, 47 tribes of black people. And not recently, the President of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, introduced the 48th tribe of Kenya, which was the Indians. Yes, the Indian language has been acknowledged as one of the Indian tribes in Kenya. So we have fully incorporated the Indians into our culture as Africans, you see, as Kenyans. But the Indians have not accepted the black people as one of them. The government has done what it has to do, and it has acted accordingly, but the people of the Indians are not acting accordingly, and this is worrying me particularly. It's a problem for me, because right now in Kenya, the Indians don't treat black people well. So many of them, I can attest to this, I am a witness. There is, of course, majority of the Indians are the ones who own these big companies, these big industries, and there's a sector in Nairobi we call it the industrial area. This industrial area part, we find people manufacturing plastics, paints, like the one you see, this white paint. It was made from a company called Crown Paints. Crown Paints, the owner of Crown Paints are Indians. Yes, we have just a few of black people who also are partner in the ownership, but it's majorly owned by the Indians. We have bread companies, we have steel companies, we have iron sheet, like name it all. You will always find an Indian owning that company or part of that company, you know. And so, you know, of course, because Kenyans, we are looking for employment, many of us, we go and seek employment there. I remember back then I used to go and work for them. Hey, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, man. It wasn't easy. I worked for an Indian, but my supervisor was a black person. I remember the pressure that the supervisor was being given by the Indian. It was so hard. But then I would see the Indians who are very friendly with the Indians, but so hard and so harsh on the African people. Even the mode of payment was always different. And I am speaking from experience, personal experience, one-on-one. And that's why I'm even recording this video in this format. It's a personal experience I've got, you know. And so, you know that the Indians came here through the trade, through the British. The British brought them here in Africa. Yes, the British brought them here. When the British brought them here, they came to work for the railway construction, the Kenya-Uganda Railway. The railway exists up to date. We still have that railway. Yes, it's evidence that we worked and we were once together with the Indians. And now, after the British left Africa and the construction was done with, the Indians, being that they struggled so hard, and they were like us, they were working under, it was not really their will, because the payment was not really that good. They were brought all the way from Goa, Delhi, Hyderabad, name it all. They were brought from there and brought to Africa. And once they were brought here, they worked so hard, and we saw their struggles and decided, okay, we're gonna stay with you. We don't want you to struggle, you know? And once we said this, it seems like Africans in Kenya opened the Pandora box. They forgot their struggles. They forgot that we, the same way as them, were under colonization. And this country belonged to Kenyans, and Kenyans welcomed them. And in the constitution, it acknowledged their presence. Now they are Kenyan citizens, but they are Kenyan citizens who don't accept other Kenyans who are the indigenous people. Why is it that people are always not so friendly with the indigenous people? This is a problem I've noticed in the USA. This is a problem I've noticed in other countries. In South Africa, let's not go far. In South Africa here, the white people are so harsh on the black people. The Indians are also even worse to the black people. I wonder what's wrong with the Indian. Some of them. And when you see people coming out and complaining, this is a big problem. It is a big problem. We understand that in India we have the caste system. This Indian caste system might have triggered something in their mindset. There is always racial profiling, cultural profiling, family inheritance and all that. Their own people back in India, they have a caste system where they grade people according to their caste. You cannot even marry from a lower caste. The higher caste cannot marry a lower caste. If you do that, you are an abomination and you are chased away. You see? So this caste system is something that I think is haunting some of them, and they're bringing it wherever they go, and they're trying to practice it even where they shouldn't practice it. That is my theory. And what again I'm thinking is this: the Indians need to realize that once somebody has welcomed you into their house, you should live with them in harmony. In harmony includes living in accordance with the constitution of that country, in accordance with how you would live with one of your own, you know? I understand we can never legislate the heart. The heart can never be legislated, but the legislation that can work is that it can restrict evil. It can contain evil. We cannot force Indians to love black people. We cannot force them to love black people. But when we have a constitution that's there, this constitution makes sure that they don't hurt Africans. Yes, this constitution is going to make sure they don't hurt us. It's going to make sure that we have equal rights, we have equal payments with them. And the arguments that Swiri Nyarkano is the woman who has done the first video. She has given a very well perspective of the Indians in Kenya. And whatever you see, if you see some people saying something many times, there has to be some truth in it. And there's some truth in what has been said here by this sister, by these other people as well. Indians need to mend it up, man. They need to do something. And if not, I think the government should adjust the constitution. It should make a law whereby there should be just. And in any case somebody goes against this constitution, they are punished. They face what they got to. Yes, that's my opinion. And I think it's something that might work for the government. Government, if you're looking for something to do about this problem, you might consider my advice. Construct a constitution, pass it. People will vote for it. Yes, majority of the people are black people in Kenya. Majority of people are the black people in Kenya, the indigenous. Of course, the constitution will pass. Yes, that's all for today, guys. See you in the next video where we will have a critical analysis. Thank you. Remember to subscribe, by the way. Subscribe for more interesting content like this.